guys, and welcome to my book haul for June. I'm not expecting anything. If anything shows up between now, which is the 27th, and the last day of June, which is the 30th, are there only 30 days? Yes, 30 days. Then it'll be a complete surprise. I'm not expecting anything. Like the next book I have on order is a pre-order and not supposed to arrive until July 11th. I'm only expecting one in July. So, yeah. So unless I read something and I like the first book or second book or whatever enough that I decide to order the next in the series, then obviously those will come in July. You might be hearing some thunder. It is raining. And in the thumbnail are not all the books that I got. I ended up with more books than I thought. So, yeah, let's go ahead and just dive right in. So, I read in May, I think it was, Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli, and that was my mom's copy, and we have unhauled it. She's not interested in rereading it, and she actually has the next book in the series, which I'm like, I kind of want to know what's going to happen with it. I didn't particularly care for Stargirl, but where it's a duology, I want to go ahead and read it. So my mom gave me her copy, which is Love, Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli. It says, Stargirl has moved and left everything behind. Arizona, enchanted desert places, and Leo, her once and future boyfriend. He's all she can think about, and her life begins to feel like a parade of unhappy anniversaries. Then Stargirl meets her wonderfully bizarre new neighbors. Dootsie, the curly-headed 5-year-old human being. Betty Lou, who hasn't stepped outside her house for 9 years. Hot-tempered Elvina, with that one glittery nail. And Perry Delaplane, the blue-eyed thief who soon lays his own claim to Stargirl's heart. In letters to Leo over the course of a year, Stargirl comes to find hope in new places. Mockingbirds, donut angels, and the winter solstice. That turning point day when dark tips to light. But what's life without Leo? Can he answer that one crucial question she asks every morning to the rising sun? It says this is a companion novel, and it sounds like, so the first one was told from Leo's perspective, this is told from Stargirl's perspective. So I am interested to see stuff from her perspective, but I don't have high hopes. So we'll see. So that was my mom's copy. Another thing that was my mom's and she has given to me is Fox Crossing by Melinda Metz. Now, my mom asked for this for Mother's Day, and I got it for her for Mother's Day, but she started to read it, or she read the synopsis, and she's like, I don't know why I asked for this. I'm like, you asked for it, otherwise I wouldn't have gotten it. So, yeah. So let's see what this one says. And I said I'll read it because I thought it sounded good. Some say the fox is good luck. In the mountain village of Fox Crossing, Maine, everyone knows the story of the fox. According to local legend, one of the town's founders crossed paths with a curious-looking fox with a distinctive white ear and paw. The unusual fox sighting not only inspired the town's name, it sparked a fantastical piece of folklore that's been passed down for generations. Some people say that whoever sees the fox will be rewarded with good fortune, love, and happiness. Others say it's just a silly folktale. What does the fox say? Annie Hatherley doesn't believe the fox legend, even though it was her great-great-grandmother who spotted the critter centuries ago. But now it's part of Annie's legacy, along with her family business, Hatherley's Outfitters. For years, Annie's been selling gear to hikers on the Appalachian Trail, but she's never seen the fox until now. Out of nowhere, this little white-eared vixen leads her to Nick Ferrone, a woefully underprepared hiker who needs her help. The Shoefly Bakery owner also spots the sly creature, who takes him to a homeless dog that needs his love. Annie can't deny that something magical is happening, because she's starting to fall for a certain foxy hiker named Nick. So, yeah. Okay, so I have been working on collecting the original Fear Street series. The final 3 books have arrived. I have the entire original Fear Street collection. Okay, Now there's still several books, because now we go into Super Chillers, which I will collect. There's the Cheerleader collection or series, which I will collect, and others as well. But the original, I finally have all of them. I actually had someone ask, and so I'll do a separate video that has all of the Fear Street books in it, original Fear Street books. So let's go ahead and get into this one. I have Into the Dark, all by R.L. Stine. So Into the Dark, it says, Paulette Fox refuses to let her blindness stop her from living a full life. But one thing she's never done is fall in love, until now. Paulette knows Brad Jones is the only guy for her. Even when her friends see Brad commit a horrible crime, Paulette is sure that he's innocent. Her friends tell her he's out of control, that she will be his next victim. But Paulette knows he would never hurt her. Is Paulette right about Brad, or has her love put her in terrible danger? Okay. And then I have Best Friend number 2. So this one, obviously, there's a Best Friend book. You would obviously read that one before Best Friend 2. So, otherwise, you can typically read them in any order. Becca is so relieved. She's finally ready to forget the horrible things her best friend Honey did to her real friends. She can even forget the way she was blamed for it all. She's completely over it. So why does she keep seeing Honey everywhere she goes? At first she thinks it's her imagination, but then the threats begin. The phone calls late at night, the terrifying messages left in her locker. Honey is back, and this time she won't stop until Becca is dead. Alrighty then. Okay, and this last one is called Trapped. You are invited to die. Danger, keep out. There's an old story about the tunnels under Shadyside High. Some kids used to party down there back in the 60s until something horrible happened. Something that left a bunch of people dead. It's just a story, right? There's nothing to be afraid of. Besides, exploring the tunnels is a lot more fun than being stuck in Saturday detention. And it's not as if anything could be down there, but something is. Something dark and evil and no longer human. Too bad there's no turning back and no one around to hear your screams. This one is the last one in the original Fear Street series. And this one was published in 1997. So, I've got the entire Fear Street, original Fear Street. Happy about that. Okay. Let's go with these 3 next. Okay. So, no, I'm missing one. Oh, let's do this one. Okay. This one was another one that, I think this was my grandma's, and then my mom got it, she read it, she's not going to reread it, she passed it to me. So, this one is inspired by a true story, and it's An Elephant in the Garden by Michael Morpugo. Excuse the dog hairs if you can see those sticking out. The bombing of Dresden looms ahead, and Lizzie's mother, a zookeeper, persuades the zoo director to allow Marlene, a young elephant that has bonded with Lizzie and her young brother Carl, to be kept safe in their garden. Their home is destroyed when bombs are dropped, so the family and Marlene have no choice but to flee with thousands of others in the dead of winter. Though, how can they walk the same route and keep themselves safe from approaching Russian soldiers with an elephant in tow? So, An Elephant in the Garden. Alright, now let's do... Okay, we'll go ahead and do... I think it's... Did I get this one at Smith's? Anyway, I think 2 of these I know I got at Smith's grocery store one time. One of them I think I did. Cicadas, or Cicadas? I don't know how to say it. Anyway, This Animal Sings of Summer Grays by Quinn Connor. I do think I got this one from Smith's, but it wasn't on sale. Years ago, yellow fever gripped the small lakeside town of Prosper, Arkansas. At the height of that summer swelter, in the wake of an unexpected storm, the dam failed and the valley flooded, drowning the town and everyone trapped inside. The secrets of old Prosper drowned with them. Now, decades later, when a mysterious locked box is pulled from the depths of the lake, 3 descendants of that long-ago tragedy are hurled into another feverish summer. Cassie, the reclusive sole witness to an impossible horror no one believes. Lark, a wide-eyed dreamer haunted by bizarre visions. June, the traveler caught between longing for a fresh start and bearing witness to the ghosts of the past. Bound together, all 3 must contend with their home's complex history and the ruins of the town lost far beneath the troubled water. Cicadas sing of summer graves. Or cicadas, I don't know. This one was also I got from Smith's. It was 25% off, and it is called Emma of 83rd Street. This is by Audrey, Belezza, and Emily Harding. It says, beautiful, clever, and rich Upper East Sider Emma Woodhouse has lived 23 years with very little to distress or vex her. That is, until her sister's marriage and subsequent move downtown. So when she meets Nadine, a wide-eyed Ohio transplant with a heart of gold and a drugstore blonde highlights to match, Emma sees not only a potential new friend, but a new project. If only her overbearing neighbor, George Knightley, Mr. Knightley? This sounds like a Emma retelling, or a Pride and Prejudice retelling, or something. Overbearing neighbor George Knightley would get out of her way. Handsome, smart, and successful, the one thing that frustrates Knightley more than a corked whiskey is his childhood friend Emma. Whether it's her shopping sprees or her revolving door of hobbies, he is more than happy to lecture her on the finer points of adulthood. But much to his chagrin, Knightley can't help but notice that the girl next door is a woman now, one he suddenly can't get out of his head. As Emma and Knightley collide with everyone from meddling family members to playboy millionaires, the two friends slowly realize their need to always be right has been usurped by a new need entirely, and that even the most familiar stories still have some surprises. Yeah, so this is a retelling. Okay. This next one I got from Smith's is called Sugar and Salt. This is by Susan Wiggs. I've read a book by Susan Wiggs before and really enjoyed the writing. However, when I purchased this, I did not realize this is either the second or the third in the series. So because of that, I ordered from Amazon the first one, The Apple Orchard. So I'm not going to read the synopsis. So this is Sugar and Salt. And actually, you know what? I can read the synopsis of this because it's different characters. So this is the first one I bought. I'll go with this one first. Sugar and Salt. It says Jerome Sugar learned the art of baking in his grandma's bakery, also called Sugar, on historic Perdita Street in San Francisco. He supplies baked goods to the lost and found bookshop across the street. When the restaurant that shares his commercial kitchen loses its longtime tenant, a newcomer moves in, Margot Salton, a barbecue master from Texas. Margot isn't exactly on the run, but she needs a fresh start. She's taken care of herself her whole life, pulling herself up by her fingernails to recover from trauma, and her dream has been to open a restaurant somewhere far, far from Texas. The shared kitchen with Jerome's sugary bakery is the perfect setup in a vibrant neighborhood popular with tourists and locals. Margot instantly takes to Jerome's mother, the lively, opinionated Ida. The older woman becomes a good mentor, and Margot is drawn to Jerome. Despite their different backgrounds, their attraction is powerful. But just as she starts to relax into a happy new future, Margot's past in Texas comes back to haunt her. I remember growing up, I had a neighbor named Ida. Cutest little lady. Yeah. She treated me like I was one of her granddaughters. Anyway, I was very, very little. Okay. This one, so The Apple Orchard is the start, so it's probably all within the same world, I'm guessing. But it is different characters, so this is the first one, The Apple Orchard. It says, Tess Delaney makes a living restoring stolen treasures to their owners. People like Annalise Winther, who has just been reunited with her mother's long-gone necklace, worth a sum that could change her life. To Annalise, whose family was torn apart during World War II, the necklace represents her history, and the value is in its memories. But Tessa's own history is filled with gaps. A father she never met, a mother who spent more time traveling than with her daughter. Then the enigmatic Dominic Rossi arrives on her San Francisco doorstep with the news that the grandfather she never knew is in a coma and that she's destined to inherit half of his apple orchard estate called Bella Vista. The rest is willed to Isabel Johansson, the half-sister she didn't know she had. With Dominic and Dominic and Isabel by her side, Tess discovers a world where families come first and the roots of history run deep. A place where falling in love is not only possible but inevitable. And in a season filled with new experiences, Tess begins to see the truth in something Annalise once told her. If you don't believe memories are worth more than money, then perhaps you've not made the right kind of memories. Ooh, I like that. So that sounds really good. Both take place in San Francisco. That's the only connection I'm seeing between them. So, okay, next up, let's go with this one. This is, the name of the characters are Dom and Becca. This is a romance. It's a spicy romance. I have not read it yet. I found this author, Willow Winters, on either Instagram or YouTube, and she does shorts about these books. And I'm like, I want to try it. I did get it from Amazon, but it did come, so it's got a crease here, unfortunately. This is what is called her discreet series. The regular series has more spicy covers, and you can get them numbered. This one is the first in the series. They're standalones. There are 2 series that take place in the same world. There's one that's 4 books, one that's 3 books, and I think the 4-book series follows one brother, and the 3-book series that takes place right after that one follows a different brother. So, but other than that, they're standalones, and I've been wanting to try her writing. So, so the name of this is called Dirty Dom. And then the synopsis, I have to find it because the synopsis isn't even on the back. It's in here. I've already seen the F word. Oh, here we go. I'm not always proud of the man I am, but when you grow up in a crime family, there aren't a lot of options. I do what I have to do, and more than often I crave it. The power, the women, the money. All of it comes easy to me. Until Becca walked into my office. Everything about her was tempting. Her beautiful eyes that pierce into me. Her body that was made for sin. She came to pay off a debt, but I wanted more. So I did what I've always done. I took what I wanted. She's a good girl who never should have walked through that door. I never should have touched her. But now that I have, I can't stop. I'll push her boundaries. She'll cave to temptation. We'll both forget about the danger, and that's a mistake I can't afford. Sounds good. And they're all independently published as well. And this author, she is so fun to watch, and she has a really beautiful voice. I will say that. So I'll try and remember to link at least her YouTube channel that she creates these shorts for. And she has a website. You can go and you can buy directly from her website or something like that. She has these mystery boxes, and you can tell her what books you have, what ones you want, and she'll put in the books. And I think they come, I don't remember if they come signed or not in the mystery boxes. And then they come with these goodies. So, but I just wanted to try a book. But anything future, if I like her writing, I will buy directly from her website. So, okay. Let's go with, let's go with this one. Now this one is a book I had ordered because one of the books that my grandma had, or that I got from a subscription box, was later on in the series. Of course, I wanted the first one, so I ordered the first one. The hardback was cheaper by like $5 than the paperback, but then the book got lost and they couldn't ship it, so then I had to reorder it because I canceled the order and refunded my money, so I went ahead and ordered the paperback, which has more copies. This time it was only like $3 more. So this first one is called The Templar Legacy. I think the first one, or the book that I got that's later on in the series, is actually from a book box. Anyway, written by Steve Barry. So The Templar Legacy. It says, the ancient order of the Knights Templar possessed untold wealth and absolute power until the Inquisition destroyed them, and their riches were lost forever. But some people don't believe in forever. Ex-agent Cotton Malone used to work for Stephanie Nell in the U.S. Justice Department. Now she seeks his help again to crack a series of puzzles that have confounded experts for centuries and could lead to the legendary lost treasure of the Knights. But Malone soon realizes someone else is on the trail, someone prepared to commit the ultimate crime in pursuit of the ultimate prize. Malone and Nell, it's either Nell or Nellie, They find themselves in a heart-stopping race through the villages, castles, and cloisters of Europe in pursuit of a secret that, in the wrong hands, could bring the world to its knees. Sounds good. And I actually kind of like this cover. It's very map-esque, burned around the edges. But yeah, I don't know. Sounds good. Okay. Now, okay, these next two were from a book box, which is one I have since canceled. I found another book box I am going to subscribe to, but I'm going to pay off my credit card by half before I start that one. And I'll go into that one when I do subscribe to that one. But, so these were in my Thrill Club, okay? And I've since canceled that one. So the one, let me start with this other one. Okay, this first one I'm going to talk to you about is called The Choice by Samantha King. She can only save one. What if you had to choose between your children? And this goes, it looks like between two timelines because there's then and now. So underneath then it says, Madeline lived for her children. She'd always believed she'd die for them too. But on the morning of her twins' 10th birthday, her love was put to the test when a killer knocked on their door and forced her to make a devastating choice. Which child should live and which should die, her son or her daughter? And then underneath now it says, Madeline stands silent on the periphery of her fractured family, trying desperately to unravel why her world was so suddenly blown apart. But while everyday life continues around her, memories of everything leading up to that tragic day return in agonizing flashes. And that's when she realizes her family's life still hangs terrifyingly in the balance. And this one has a Canada price tag of $24.99, so, but The Choice. I think that sounds really good. So, and either that's the first in the series or it's a standalone, one of the two. But this next one is actually the next in a series, but the curator of the box did say you can read them as standalones, but with me I can't, so I did buy the first one, which is the one I'll get to next, because this one came in the box. This one is called Crime Song by David Swinson. And it says, Frank Marr was a good cop with a bad habit until his addictions to alcohol and cocaine forced him into retirement. Now eking out a living as a private investigator, he agrees to take on a surveillance case as a favor to his beloved Aunt Linda. Frank quickly confirms that his cousin Jeffrey is involved with a small-time drug operation. Then Frank's home is burglarized and a body is left on the kitchen floor. Jeffrey's. Worse, Frank's .38 revolver, the murder weapon, is among the stolen items, along with his cherished music collection. Only Frank's stash of cocaine is left untouched. Why? With the weight of his family, his reputation, and his own life on his shoulders, Frank must find the culprit by following the stolen goods through a tangled network of petty thieves, desperate addicts, deceiving fences, good cops, bad cops, and one morally compromised taxi driver. He's as determined to uncover the truth as he is to feed his habit, and both could prove deadly. So that is Crime Song. Now the first one, this is in a series, probably just all within the same world. Following Frank Marr. So this one also is following the main detective, Frank Marr. So this one, as you can see, is called The Second Girl by David Swinson, and this is the first one. It says, Frank Marr may be the best investigator Washington, D.C. has ever known. He's a decorated former police detective, early retired, and now ekes out a living as a private eye. Frank is also a longtime drug addict, and he has lent his considerable skills to hiding his secrets from others. After accidentally discovering a kidnapped teenage girl in the den of a local drug gang, Frank is hailed as a hero and thrust into the spotlight. When he reluctantly agrees to investigate the disappearance of another girl, possibly connected to the first, the heightened scrutiny threatens to bring his own bad habits into light. Slippery, charming, and achingly vulnerable, Frank Marr is the unforgettable anti-hero at the center of this tightly coiled thriller. So, yes, okay. Still got a couple to go through. Now these next two I pre-ordered because these authors have become auto-buy for me. So, this first one I'll tell you about is by Riley Sager. It's his new book called The Only One Left. The Only One Left. He wrote The House Across the Lake. I have not read that one yet, but I've read only like 3 books by Riley Sager. Really enjoyed them both. Or maybe it was 2. The Last Time I Lied was 1. Does this have a list of his books, maybe? Final Girl. So I read 3, and then there was another one. Don't remember the title of it. Anyway, so the only one left by Riley Sager. And this one I ordered a couple months ago, and so it's finally come in. It says, at 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope. Now reduced to a schoolyard chant, the Hope family murders shocked the Maine coast one bloody night in 1929. While most people assume 17-year-old Lenora was responsible, the police were never able to prove it. Other than her denial after the killing, she has never spoken publicly about that night, nor has she set foot outside Hope's End, the cliffside mansion where the massacre occurred. Stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. Now it's 1983. That's the year I was born. And let's see. And home health aide Kit McDree arrives at a decaying Hope's End to care for Lenora after her previous nurse fled in the middle of the night. In her 70s, and confined to a wheelchair, Lenora was rendered mute by a series of strokes and can only communicate with Kit by tapping out sentences on an old typewriter. One night, Lenora uses it to make a tantalizing offer. I want to tell you everything. It wasn't me, Lenora said, but she's the only one not dead. As Kit helps Lenora write about the events leading to the Hope family massacre, it becomes clear there's more to the tale than people know. But when new details about her predecessor's departure come to light, Kit starts to suspect Lenora might not be telling the complete truth, and that the seemingly harmless woman in her care could be far more dangerous than she first thought. So the childhood, it's like a take on Lizzie Borden, I guess. Oh, it does say that. It says, best-selling author Riley Sager returns with a deliciously twisty and addictive gothic chiller about a young caregiver assigned to work for a woman accused of a Lizzie Borden-like massacre. So the chant that the kids made up is, at 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope, stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. It wasn't me, Lenora said, but she's the only one not dead. So, the only one left. Okay. And this next one is Ruth Ware. My favorite of Ruth Ware so far. I read The Lying Game, which that's my least favorite out of the Ruth Ware ones that I've read. I read, there's one I'm blanking on it, but The Woman in Cabin 10 has been my favorite so far. So there's 3 that I've read by Ruth Ware and really liked. So 0 Days by Ruth Ware. It says, Jackathina, Jack, Cross, and her husband Gabe are the best security penetration specialists in the business, hired by companies to test the strengths and weaknesses of their systems. Jack handles the physical break-ins while Gabe tackles the digital aspects. They make an excellent team outside of work too, but after a routine assignment goes horribly wrong, Jack arrives home to find her husband dead. And to add to her horror, the police are closing in on their only suspect, her. Suddenly on the run and quickly running out of options, Jack must decide who she can trust as she digs further into family, old friends, and even old enemies. As she circles closer to the truth, she also begins to question if there could be far more at stake in this unputdownable and heart-pounding mystery. Okay, so, yeah, ooh. Okay, I like, you can't see it very well, but it's like the binary code, all the zeros and ones going down, which makes sense if they're, Gabe is the digital security hacker person. So anyway, 0 Days. Okay. Now this next one is one that I won from a contest on Goodreads. Now, this honestly has, okay, so it's Tom Hanks, The Making of Another Major Motion Picture Masterpiece. Okay. I'm like, oh, maybe it's a nonfiction book about Tom Hanks. I think it's actually fiction. Let me pull it up because I was confused by this. Let me pull it up. Let's see. Let me do it this way. The Making of Another here we go. So it is written by Tom Hanks. Okay, Tom Hanks wrote it. And it is a fiction. So Tom Hanks, great actor. I've loved everything that I've seen that he's in. And I know I have not seen everything that Tom Hanks is in. But when I see a Tom Hanks movie that I want to see, like I loved his take in the film of, I loved Castaway. I loved that one where he plays Mr. Rogers. And I've seen a lot more of his stuff. But it is fiction. It's a historical fiction, literary fiction. So, yeah. I'm just curious, has he written other books? He narrated The Dutch House by Anne Pratchett. Oh, he wrote Uncommon Type. I don't know anything about that one. Alan Bean +4 he wrote. I don't know what that one is. So this is not his first book. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Well, I just learned something new. So, The Making of Another Major Motion Picture Masterpiece by Tom Hanks. It says, if you knew more about how movies are made than Tom Hanks, not just the technical details, but the history drawn upon and the lives and relationships that most intertwine to create a motion picture. Following up his best-selling collection of short stories, Uncommon Type. Okay, so that tells me about his first book. Let's see. Hank's ambitious novel is about the making of a multi-million-dollar superhero epic. Although the film Nightshade, The Lathe of Firefall, is being filmed in the present, the story begins in 1947 in the town of Lone Butte, California, where we meet 5-year-old Robbie, already artistically gifted, and his troubled uncle Bob Falls, returned from overseas combat in World War II. Then two things happen that will shape the future. Young Robbie sees a comic book about a soldier whose weapon is a flamethrower, and his uncle deserts the small boy in a drugstore, riding his motorcycle away from his home and his only family never to return. Oh, that's sad. The story picks up in 1970. Robbie now writes and draws comic books for a stoner underground comic book company in Oakland, California. He receives a moving letter from his long-lost uncle, which sparks him to write and draw a comic about a flame-throwing soldier. Cut to today, a big-time eccentric director discovers Robbie's 1970 comic and decides it's exactly what he needs as the basis for a superhero movie with heart. From that point on, we are witness to the making of another motion picture masterpiece with a colorful and memorable cast of characters, including a pompous star and his determined leading lady, a young actor not entirely ready for his sudden rise to stardom, a fierce and loyal producer, a tireless production assistant, a countless film crew members, all of whom create Hollywood magic. Says this is a page-turning inside look at show business and movie making, an insightful reflection on the changes in America over the past 80 years, and a lovely window into the world we all share. Huh. And it has the comics in it. So multimedia. Okay. That is cool. I am excited to get to this. Okay. And then here's another part of the comics, but black and white. So, anyway, written by Tom Hanks. Cool beans. Okay, this next little bit are things that I just acquired today. Let's go with Barnes & Noble. So, my mom wanted to go get frozen yogurt, and then she wanted to go and wander around Barnes & Noble. It's just impossible for me to enter and leave Barnes & Noble without buying any books. So I got 4. Okay, all romance. Okay. And some of these I've had my eye on, and so I finally thought, go ahead and get them. All right, first up, and in no particular order, I have things. This is a thick one. This one is over 500 pages. Anyway, Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. He's absolutely not falling for the good girl. I love the cover on this one. Knox Morgan doesn't tolerate drama, especially in the form of a stranded runaway bride. Naomi Witt is on the run, not just from her fiancé and a church full of well-wishers, but from her entire life. Although, if you ask her, Naomi's riding to the rescue of her estranged hot mess of a twin, Tina, to Knockmount, a rough around the edges town where disputes are settled the old-fashioned way, with fists and beer, usually in that order. Too bad for Naomi. Her evil twin hasn't changed at all. After helping herself to Naomi's car in a crash, Tina leaves behind something unexpected. The niece Naomi didn't know she had. Now she's a guardian to an 11-year-old going on 30 with no car, no money, and no plan. There's a reason this bearded bad boy barber doesn't get involved with high-maintenance women, especially not type A romantic ones. But since Naomi's life imploded right in front of him, the least Knox can do is help her out of her jam. And just as soon as she stops getting into new trouble, he can leave her alone and get back to his quiet, solitary life. At least that's the plan. Sounds good. Okay. This one I've had my eye on. These next two I have had my eye on for a while, and I finally thought, let's just go ahead and do it, because I keep thinking about doing it. The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. Dual POV. Rowan, it says, I'm in the business of creating fairy tales. Theme parks, production companies, 5-star hotels. Everything could all be mine if I renovated Dreamland. I think this is like a Disneyland type thing, I'm thinking. My initial idea of hiring Zara was good in theory, but then I kissed her. Things spiraled out of control once I texted using an alias. By the time I realized where I went wrong, it was too late. People like me don't get happy endings. Now, when we're destined to not when we're destined to ruin them. Zara, I'm guessing is how it's said. After submitting a drunk proposal criticizing Dreamland's most expensive ride, I should have been fired. Instead, Rowan Kane offered me a dream job. The catch? I had to work for the most difficult boss I'd ever met. Rowan was rude and completely off limits, but my heart didn't care, at least not until I discovered his secret. It was time to teach that billionaire that money couldn't fix everything, especially not us. Sounds good, and I am definitely intrigued by the cover. So, finally got that one. The other one I finally got is Twisted Love by Anna Huang. This is book 1 in the Twisted series. I really like this cover. And I really like the covers, so if I like this series and continue on, I'm definitely want to get the covers in the rest of the books in this type of a series. Like the other ones in yellow, kind of a pinky, peachy red, and then a green. I like this cover. He has a heart of ice, but for her, he'd burn the world. You are the light to my dark, sunshine. Without you, I'm lost. Alex Volkov is a devil blessed with the face of an angel and cursed with a past he can't escape. Driven by tragedy that has haunted him for most of his life, his ruthless pursuits for success and vengeance leave little room for matters of the heart. But when he's forced to look after his best friend's sister, he starts to feel something in his chest. A crack, a melt, a fire that could end his world as he knew it. Ava Chen is a free spirit trapped by nightmares of a childhood she can't remember. But despite her broken past, she's never stopped seeing the beauty in the world, including the heart beneath the icy exterior of a man she shouldn't want. Her brother's best friend, her neighbor, her savior, and her downfall. Theirs is a love that was never supposed to happen, but when it does, it unleashes secrets that could destroy them both and everything they hold dear. Twisted Love. Sounds really good. Okay. And the last one I got from Barnes & Noble is a Peter Pan retelling, the first in the series, and this one is called Hooked by Emily McIntyre. It says, he wants revenge, but he wants her more. James has always had one agenda, destroy his enemy, Peter Michaels. When Peter's 20-year-old daughter, Wendy, shows up in James's bar, he sees his way in, seduce the girl, and use her for his revenge. It's the perfect plan until things in James's organization begin to crumble. Suddenly, he has to find the traitor in his midst, and his plan for revenge gets murkier as James starts to see Wendy as more than just a pawn in his game. Wendy has been cloistered away most of her life by her cold, weatherly father, but a spontaneous night out with friends turns into an intense and addictive love affair with the dark and brooding James. As much as she knows James is dangerous, Wendy can't seem to shake her desire for him. But as the relationship grows more heated and she learns more about the world he moves in, she finds herself unsure if she's falling for the man known as James or the monster known as Hook. So it's the cover on this one that drew me in, and it sounds good. Okay, this last one just arrived today. I did not order it. It's from Macmillan Publishers, and I think this is one that I won from Goodreads. So let's go ahead and open it. Okay, so I think the parent company is Macmillan. The publisher this one is from is Holt. Congrats on winning a copy. Okay. And then happy reading. And this is an ARC, so I'll add this to my ARCs. This is on sale July of 2023, so I don't know the date that it comes out, but it's Every Rising Sun by Jamila Ahmed. So that's the cover. It says, in this riveting take on 1001 Nights, Shahrazad, at the center of her own story, uses wit and political mastery to navigate opulent places brimming with treachery and the perils of the Third Crusade as her Persian homeland teeters on the brink of destruction. So it's a retelling of 1001 Nights, which I have not read. Okay. And the synopsis reads, in 12th century Persia, I have ancestors from Persia. No, not Persia. Prussia. Not Persia. I was wrong. Ignore that. In 12th century Persia, completely different area of the world. Okay. Clever and dreamy Shahrazad stumbles on the Malik's beloved wife entwined with a lover in a sun-dappled courtyard. When Shahrazad recounts her first tale, the story of this infidelity to the Malik, she sets the Seljuk Empire on fire. Enraged at his wife's betrayal, the once gentle Malik beheads her. Ew. But when that killing does not quench his anger, the Malik begins to marry and behead a new bride each night. Oh, shoot. Okay. Furious at the murders, his province seethes on rebellion's edge. Well, yeah, okay. To suppress her guilt, quell threats of revolt, and perhaps marry the man she has loved since childhood, Shahrazad persuades her beloved father, the Malik's vizier, to offer her as his next wife. On their wedding night, Shahrazad begins a yarn, but as the sun ascends, she cuts the story short, ensuring that she will live to tell another tale, a practice she repeats night after night. But the Malik's rage runs too deep for Shahrazad to exercise alone, and so she and her father persuade the Malik to leave Persia to join Saladin's fight against the Crusaders in Palestine. With plots spun against the Seljuks from all corners, Shahrazad must maneuver through intrigue at the age's greatest courts to safeguard her people. All the while, she must keep the Malik enticed with her otherworldly tales, because the slightest misstep could cost Shahrazad her head. Says the suspenseful first-person retelling is vividly rendered through the voice of a fully imagined Shahrazad, a book lover whose late mother bestowed the gift of a story that becomes her power. Created over 14 years of writing and research, Jamila Ahmed's gorgeously written debut. Okay, so this is a debut book. This is a celebration of storytelling and a love letter to the medieval Islamic world that brings to life one of the most enduring and intriguing women characters of all time. So, Every Rising Sun. Interesting. Yeah, on sale. So it's an ARC on sale July, so this coming month, 2023. So that is it. That is my book haul. I ended up with more books than I thought I would for this month, but I think it will be much less for next month. So that's it. Let me know if you've read any of these books or from any of these authors. What are you most intrigued by or anything? Just talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I'll talk to you later.